Welcome to the podcast, Tess. I'm so excited to be chatting with you today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
So, can you just tell everyone just a little bit about yourself and what you currently do?
Sure. So, hi, everybody. My name's Tess. I'm 26. I live in downtown Toronto. And we were just talking. We actually went to the same high school.
Yeah.
So, I'm from Victoria. And I am a full time business owner. I'm the founder of Busy Blooming. And then I'm also a full time creator. I do a podcast, the Busy Blooming podcast. And then I'm also a creator on TikTok, YouTube. And yeah, everything I do is just a lot about helping women build their career and hosting events and yeah, a lot about content creation and stuff as well. And that's it. I do a bunch of different things.
Yeah. No, yeah, I love, like what I was saying before, like I love your podcast and it's just so, I feel like inspiring, like what you just like talk about is just like so helpful for like, I feel like just like all like young adult women. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
So, can you just talk about, I guess, like what sparked your interest in like starting Busy Booming?
Sure. Yeah. So I started it in at the end of 2020, and at the time I was working at the Big Four, which is a big firm in Toronto. I was working a 9 to 5 job, and I just felt like I needed someone to talk to. I feel like when you graduate university, there's no rule book. Like there's no one really telling you what to do or how to get a job, and if your boss is being weird, like what do you do? And so I was also doing YouTube at the time, and so I thought this was a perfect time to like use that platform and get some connections. So I started Busy Blooming, a Facebook group, and a lot of my followers from YouTube joined. And then for a long time, it was just like a it was just a Facebook group. And then eventually, over the years, it has turned into a business, and so we have a membership and we have events and lots of different things. But yeah, it basically started just from wanting some connection, pretty much in post grad.
No, I love that. And yeah, like I said, like it's so helpful for like all women,
Yeah.
and it's just good to have like that community because, like you said, it's hard. I think like once you graduate, like to like find that community,
Yeah,
especially.
totally.
So I know, okay, recently, like I just love your TikToks. So
Oh,
like
thank
you were
you.
talking about like the niche and how like you don't need it, and I felt like when I was like going through nutrition school, there everyone's like find a niche, but it's like,
Hmm.
what if I don't want to?
Yeah.
Like, could you just like talk about like not having niche, why it's okay to share like what you're passionate about instead of just like one topic or thing?
Yeah, sure. I know I've been talking so much about like content creation and niche. I feel like I've made not niching down my niche. Like I need to start branching out. But it's just so fun to talk about. So yeah, I think for a lot of people like content creation is so fun and something a lot of us want to make our career. And so I think like a lot of us, like you said, everyone tells you to niche down. They're like, pick one thing and then post only about that 3 times a day, and that's your formula. And I think that is really fun for like a month, and then you get really tired of that. And so I think I've really been leaning into not niching down and like telling people that you don't need to do that to be successful. And content creation is all about making a brand off of your personality and your life and yourself. And so if we only pick one thing to talk about, that's not you. And so that's just one part of you. So I think it's just so important to talk about what you're passionate about. And I'm sure you're passionate about more than one thing. So
Yeah.
don't niche down, everybody. Just
Yeah.
post when I post, wake up every day. What do you feel like talking about? And just talk about that thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. So when I guess when you started like your YouTube channel, like did you just talk about one thing or at the time or
Yeah, at
a
the
few
time I
things?
started in, I think, oh my God, at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020.
Mhm.
But yeah, I did a lot of like 9 to 5 vlogs. And
Right.
so I definitely felt that when I quit my 9 to 5 job, I was like, I have nothing without this
Hmm.
topic. Like, I don't know what to talk about anymore. No one's going to
Yeah.
like me because all I would talk about is working corporate. And so I think it's a good example of why not to do that.
Yeah. No, for sure. So like I love how like in one of your podcasts like episodes that you talked about like being a cringy loser and I just I
Yeah.
love
Oh my
that
God.
concept.
Love.
Could you just and like obviously like just being yourself and not caring what others think about you, could you like talk about what that has like personally looked like for you?
Yeah, totally. I think yeah, being a cringy loser. It's so funny. It's so true. I think it's just so important as I've gone through my 20s and realizing that it's so important to not care about what people think. And I think everyone says that though all the time and you're like, "Okay, but I still do." Like I still don't want to post on social media because people from my high school are going to say something, or I don't want to quit my job because people won't approve. Like you don't know how to not care about what people think. And so I really decided to lean into being cringe. Like it's okay to be cringe. And I think that's everyone's biggest fear ever is people thinking that you're weird or people thinking that what you're doing like doesn't totally make sense. And so I think lean into that and be okay with owning like I am being cringe and that's just my vibe this year and it's great. And I think when you take the power away from that word and that fear, it just becomes so much more free. Like your life becomes so much more open. You can do what you want to do. I think it applies to so many different things, like not just posting on social, but like going back to school if you didn't love your major, or like switching your major, trying a different position at work, going to a workout class, like meeting up with friends, like all of those things can feel a little bit cringe, but embrace the feeling of being cringe and like, no, it's okay if people don't get what you're doing 100%.
So I guess how did you personally like get over that with like I don't know, I guess yeah. I feel like the hardest part is like people from high school and you're like, "Oh
Yeah,
gosh, everyone can see this."
I know.
But
I think,
and just thinking that
yeah,
I guess
sorry, go
like
ahead.
because we went because but sorry, we both went to a small like Christian school, so it's
Yes.
like
Everyone
you
knows
know the
everybody.
bubble. Yeah.
I know because we were like 2 years apart and like we know each
Yeah.
other. Like I think that's just
Yeah.
shows the school is so
Yeah.
small. I think one thing that helped me is I don't live in my hometown. Like I live in Toronto. So I think that definitely helps because nobody knew me here. And so the people I'd meet at work or wherever would just always know me, somebody who's been a creator. But it's cringy until it's successful. And I think that's always something to remember. Like if it's eventually it won't be, and people's definition of it won't be as cringy to them.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, even if you have 1 million followers, someone will still think what you're doing doesn't make any sense, and so you can't measure that too much. But yeah, for me personally, I think moving away definitely helps because you can kind of rebrand yourself and people just believe what you say that you're doing, and they don't question it. And I also just think it takes practice. Like it's a muscle. Like confidence is really the opposite of feeling like cringe. And I think confidence is just a muscle and a skill you have to strengthen every single day. And you have to get on social media and put yourself out there and say, hey, even like I started this Facebook group. It's the best thing ever. It's called Busy Blooming. No one was in it, but you have to show up on social media and say that and be confident. And even if you're not, I mean, that's the beauty of social media. You can edit yourself until you seem confident and retry and retake. So I think it just, for me, it's taken a lot of practice and yeah.
Hmm. No, for sure. So I want to switch over to like in your business. So like what
Sure.
are some like I guess like top tips that you have for like starting a business? And did you always know that you like wanted to like own your own company?
Yeah. I I've always been definitely like entrepreneurial. I've always liked starting different businesses and different things. But I loved the corporate life. Like when I started at KPMG in Toronto, like I loved like putting on my suits and like going to work and like being like the corporate blueprint. Like I just loved that lifestyle. And so I never really wanted to like get away from it until I started to do social media. And I realized there's just so much potential to create businesses like from being a creator. And even like for me, I'm not like this massive creator with millions of followers. That I think if you have a decent like an amount of followers that are really engaged, like you can really help them through businesses. And so anyways, yeah, so I would say if anyone's interested in being an entrepreneur or starting a business, like you have to just get so comfortable not knowing what you're doing. Like that's really something I've learned is like you won't know what you're doing. Like you'll start a business and you won't even know the colors, the fonts, the aesthetic, let alone like the function of the business and how to make money and what to pivot. Like there's so much that goes into it. Even starting a fresh year as a business owner, it's like should you grow this year? Like should you start a podcast? Should you do events? Like there's so much opportunity, and I think people get frozen by opportunity very often because they like to know that feeling of like they know exactly what they're doing. And I think you just have to not know, live in the gray, and just again, it's kind of like that confidence muscle. Like just practice being like organized in chaos, I guess.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah.
sure. I think yeah, it definitely like takes a lot of yeah, just like you said, like not knowing like what you're doing and just kind of like, hey, we're doing this either way.
Yeah. It's happening.
And just kind of going like head first, like, hey,
Yeah.
did you or I guess like on your podcast you've talked about like your mom kind of helping
Yeah.
you. So
Totally.
she's in the corporate world like herself.
Yeah, she actually is a partner in a big four firm. She's like corporate energy, like the most corporate. But yeah, no, she's helped me a lot. I think it's good to lean on people you trust, but I think the mistake I made is I would ask everyone their opinion on everything. And I think that's where you can go wrong a little bit too. Like I'd ask like my dad, like what he thinks about like the pink. And like it's just not helpful. And so I think something to think about is only ask your target audience or people who have done something similar, their opinion, because it could get very like overwhelming because everyone's an expert on marketing, I feel like.
Yeah. Everyone's like, "Do this, do that," and you're
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, what if I don't like that?"
Yeah, no.
And then you have, like, so many, I guess, opinions floating in your head.
Totally, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So could you talk about, like, why it's also good to, like, have, like, multiple, like, income streams? Because I feel like you talk about, like, that a lot on TikTok.
Yeah, I think multiple income streams is something that is so overwhelming and difficult to set up. And I think people say that a lot. They're like, oh, just get 9 income streams. But it's like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know what that means. And so I think it's important to have multiple income streams. I think if you are a business owner, or a content creator, a podcaster, or anything, because there's just so much, like so many types of businesses you can start. But I think do them slowly, like set up a lot of potential ways to make money and then just grow them all slowly rather than just like, I think putting all your eggs in one basket. For example, like if you're a content creator, like don't just be on TikTok, like maybe start a digital journals Etsy shop for your followers, or start a podcast, or start even like an Instagram, like just like diversify where you're putting your time. Because I think everything you do in your business or content is value, and that value is your currency. And if you spend it all on one thing, if that one thing goes away, you're kind of hooped. So I would say, yeah, spend your value in multiple places.
Yeah. So with you, I guess you're doing, like, YouTube, like, TikTok, Instagram, or those or and the podcast.
Yeah.
So do you have, like, I guess, roughly, like, 4-ish?
Yeah, I think I have like social media is kind of one, like brand deals
Right.
on like TikTok and everything. And then yeah, YouTube AdSense for sure is like a small one. I'm just getting back on YouTube, getting my footing back. But then I also do some coaching. So I do like consulting sessions and things. So that's another one. And then Busy Blooming itself has about 4. But I don't actually take any income from Busy Blooming. I put it all back into the team and the business. But yeah, I guess like between like, yeah, like 6, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something
No,
like that.
yeah. Yeah. But I guess, like, when you, like, first started out, it was, like, mainly, like, YouTube because I guess that's what you, like, was, like, focusing on, like, to begin with.
Yeah, that's all I had at the beginning. I
Mhm.
didn't even have like an Instagram really, or I didn't have a TikTok. So yeah, just was a YouTube girly.
Yeah. But I think it's cool, I think, like, seeing, like, your TikTok grow from, like, didn't you get, like, 10K in, like, a month or something?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was like, "She's hitting the numbers."
I know. Finally. I know it's been growing faster the more I've been talking about this, like what we're talking about, like
Mhm.
niching and marketing and
Yeah.
all that, because I think it's people, I think there's so much of it out there, like so many tips and advice, but a lot of it doesn't dig deep enough, I feel like, and it doesn't like, it's not very humanized, like a lot of the advice. I think like
Yeah.
content creation is such an emotional thing. Like you have to lean into
Yeah.
that more. But yeah, no, TikTok's, I love TikTok. I hope it doesn't get banned.
I
Like, oh
all
my
the
God.
things that I've been hearing, I'm like, I feel like I heard this, like, a year or 2 ago that it was gonna get banned, but
Same.
it never did. So then
I know. So
I'm
I
kinda
think
wondering, like, is it or not?
I don't know. I was like reading the bill about it and I'm like, it's so much bigger than just TikTok. It's like influencers in general and like so many different things. I'm like, I just like hope that this is not approved.
No. Yeah, I guess would it just, like, leave all countries? Like,
I don't know.
like, I just find it so interesting, but
Yeah.
anyways, I guess people are trying to, like, get get everyone to, like, follow their Instagram and, like, whatnot, but
Yeah,
on
totally.
that way, but yeah. Let's switch over to, I guess, like, working a 9 to 5. So, like, if
Sure.
you're working, like, a 9 to 5 job that you, like, don't wanna, like, obviously do forever and you have, like, a side hustle, how can you, like, work on growing that side hustle, like, into, like, a full-time job? I guess, like, still doing, like, a 9 to 5.
Yeah, I think that was my life for like 3 years
Mhm.
building up Busy Blooming. I was working a 9 to 5 job until the end of 2021. So it's only been about a year. And then I did a lot of consulting and like I really weaned myself off of corporate life. I think too, like I think a really nice lifestyle is having a 9 to 5 job that you love and then having a side hustle that has income that you also love. I don't think everyone's end goal like should necessarily be to quit your 9 to 5 job, because I think it can be a really like stressful way to live, like trying to like every day like to like manage yourself and like make all this money, and like it could just be like a lot. And I think if you have a job that you really like, I think like that's good. I think I would just like stick with it, because it's so important to like build a life outside of your work. And I think it can be really hard to have a a life and like be a daughter and a sister and a friend and have a boyfriend and work out and go out with your friends. Like it can be hard to do that, all of that, when you have a big side hustle you're trying to grow and a 9 to 5 job. And I think sometimes you sacrifice that life part when you like, because your whole life is really that side hustle outside of your 9 to 5 job. So I think it's just like being very aware of all of that and being like really listening to yourself and remembering what you need, and that there's no rush. Like if you really, really want to leave your 9 to 5 job or grow your side hustle, like it will happen if it's meant to happen, and just like trust what you want to trust. And I think just know like if it's meant to be, it will be. But I think it really comes down to motivation and trying to be more motivated than disciplined and keep it fun. And yeah, if you love, and like make sure you love it, because for me, for a long time, I did YouTube on the side and I like hated filming YouTube videos. And I'm like
Mm.
just so
Yeah.
annoyed like filming these videos, but I didn't have anything else. Like, I didn't have a podcast or anything. So I think, yeah, a lot of it's like try to have fun and stay motivated. And I mean, obviously like time management, like just focus a lot on like what your big goals are and don't like waste your time on all these random little things. And also just don't fall into comparison. Like it's really not that deep, and just because someone has more followers or is making more money, like it has nothing to do with you, and you just don't know people's reality. And so the most important thing in life is just to be happy, honestly. That's
Yeah,
really what
no.
it is.
That's so true. So I guess when you started Busy Blooming, like were you working like every day, would you say, like on it? Like whenever, I guess whenever you had like spare time, or was it not every day?
Yeah, I had a really, and I still really struggle with this. Like, I had a really unhealthy work life balance, and it's something I'm really trying to work on and like trying to not glorify, because I feel like for a lot of people, it's like I just work my entire life every day, and everyone's like, that's cool. I want to, like, I should do that, I guess. And I think if I could go back and do it differently, like I definitely would. But yeah, when I was working corporate, I would like wake up at 6, work 6 to 9, work through my lunch, and then work from like 5:30 to 9 p.m. and then go to bed. Um, and I think it's definitely like, would I change anything? I guess not, because like it worked, but I think I think I worked too hard, and hard work doesn't always equal success. Like hard work could just equal hard work and being stressed. And I think I would have been a little more strategic with my time and like focus on high ROI things and not waste my hours and time on like things that don't matter. And so I think you don't have to work so hard to be successful. I think a lot of people think that, and it's not true. Like it can be easy actually.
Hmm. Yeah. So I guess like with that, like how can you create just like a good like work-life balance when juggling like a 9 to 5 and a side hustle?
Yeah, I think you just have to fill up your life outside of work. I think it's not even about having this like amazing like lifestyle where you're going to workout classes and have all these friends and everything. I think you just really need to know yourself and know what you need outside of work. And a lot of people need alone time, or need to, I don't know, like if you're involved with a church or involved with a gym or like whatever it is. I think just knowing what makes you happy and getting enough of that and like making your life feel full. And I think also just having things you care about outside of work too. Like if you care a lot about your job and you don't really care about anything else, like you don't have a side hustle or somewhere you have volunteered, like you'll feel a little bit empty. So having lots of things you care about outside of your job.
Mhm. No, yeah, I agree. I feel like that's so important, not just being like so fixated on like this one thing that you feel like that you're like you hope you this is gonna grow. And I like
Yeah,
how you said that like it will grow if it like like if you let it. Is that what you said?
totally.
Or
Yes.
if you like just trust the process, essentially.
Trust the process. Yeah.
You know. But I guess I also have like a question, like I guess like with your podcast, like did you also know that you wanted like to start like a podcast for Busy Blooming, or was it just kind of like a spur of the moment, like, hey, let's start this?
Yeah. The podcast, I didn't want to start it because I think I just it's like another commitment. It's like a whole business,
Yeah.
as you know, as a podcaster.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot. um
Yeah.
but my at the time, Alexis, one of my friends now, but at the time is a busy blooming girl who reached out to me and she wanted to help with Instagram. And then her and I were working a little bit together. And then she was like, you just started a podcast. So then I was like, yeah, I should. So then we started literally the next week. And then now she's my co-host on Friday episodes on the podcast, which is so funny. But yeah, I didn't want to start it, but I think having a podcast, as you know, like if you have a brand, it's such a good way to personify your brand and like share key messaging. If you have like something going on with your brand, it can be good. And podcasting also is just the best way to meet people. Like it's the best way to connect and network and provide a lot of value for people in a really long form way. And I think podcasting, I love podcasting. It's like my favorite medium probably now, but I never wanted to do it. And I'm so happy I did.
Mm. Just got that push from like Alexis. She's like,
Yeah.
"Hey,
She's like, just do
let's do
it.
it."
Yeah.
Um, so one last question I have for you is, what is one thing that you do to live nourished?
Oh yeah. I think oh, that's a good question. I love it. I think I really try to just listen to how I'm feeling all the time. I feel like I've said that a few times, but I feel like, yeah, like living nourished, it's so important to listen to your body and in your mind and know what you need and not follow like all the trends and follow what everyone else is doing and like just know it's so personalized, like to be healthy and have self-care. And so I've really been trying to do that more. Like just what do I need today? What do I need to feel my body? Do I need sleep? Do I need to go work out? And just yeah, listen to yourself.
No, I love that. I feel like that's so important to just like, yeah, listen to like your mind, body, whatever it needs. Yeah,
Yeah,
just listen.
totally.
So where can everyone find you and connect with you?
Yeah, everyone, yeah, go check me out. It's just Tess Barclay on everything. And then Busy Blooming is Busy Blooming on Instagram. We have a membership. You can come check it out. It's busyblooming.ca. And we have live events every month and virtual ones. We have a Toronto event coming up soon. And yeah, it's Busy Blooming.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on. I love chatting with you about all things just like business.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.